As they were preparing to stay with us, I hadn't booked a room, and my thoughts turned bitter during this family getaway I never even wanted to join. We landed at an upscale hotel where my husband Spencer acted oblivious to her resentment toward me and strolled off, leaving me trailing with a nonchalant, "Catch you at checkout, Emily." They vanished into the lavish hotel. I'm Emily, just turned 30 this year, a stay-at-home mom sharing a home with Spencer, my mother-in-law Kate, and my son Tsin, who hit 3 this year. Spencer and I crossed paths on a blind date 7 years back and tied the knot. We've led a simple life, free of big fights, known in the neighborhood as a deeply affectionate pair. 2 years into our marriage, we welcomed our son. Spencer juggled a busy job but pitched in with childcare, and I had no grievances about him. We lived in a typical family setup. But after Tsin arrived, things began to unravel. 6 months ago, my father-in-law passed and Kate came to live with us. I'd last seen her, aside from our wedding, when Spencer and I visited to share our engagement news, so it had been ages. My initial take on her wasn't great. My father-in-law, though, was warm to me, leaving a positive mark. "Spencer, are you certain she's the one? I'm concerned she'll make life tough for you," I recalled her bluntly voicing her doubts. Spencer worked hard to win her over, but her gaze toward me was far from kind. With some coaxing from her husband and Spencer, we got her blessing, though I still felt she shouldn't have aired such thoughts in my presence. I wondered if we'd mesh once she moved in. I tried staying optimistic, determined to make it work when she and her stuff arrived. I assisted with unpacking, and she was sweet to Tsin, now 3, tending to him while Spencer and I sorted her things. I had him handle the heavy lifting while I arranged the smaller items. The unpacking flowed well, leaving just the minor bits for me. "This belongs over there. What sort of schooling did you have?" she remarked about a fake plant I'd placed to brighten the room. Kate flagged it, and though irked, I figured she was just picky and shifted it where she liked. She watched Tsin briefly, then parked herself in front of the TV, not bothering to assist. I barely had a moment to focus on him, yet she chided me to keep an eye on him. Juggling him and unpacking left me swamped, but I couldn't ask Spencer, resting after hauling heavy loads, to step in. I wrapped up tidying with a mix of emotions, chalking her attitude up to unease over her new surroundings and shoving my annoyance aside. Her nitpicking persisted daily. One morning, I rose early to fix breakfast for everyone and tried to rest. The house was a mess, and if I had a spare second, she insisted I clean. She never let me pause, always critiquing my efforts. She was rarely home during the day, much less lifting a finger herself. The mental toll of this life wore me down, so I turned to Spencer. "She's struggling since Dad's gone. Go easy on her," he urged, but he offered no real support despite knowing how she treated me. He never stepped in. Every night, ignoring my turmoil, I'd lie in bed, hands on my brow, slipping into a hopeless sleep. My 3-year-old woke crying one night, and too drained to rise. Spencer dashed to him. Kate, roused by the noise, shook me hard. "How can you sleep through your son crying? How do you live with yourself?" "Spencer, this is a woman's duty," she barked, berating me for being too exhausted to move. To avoid a scene, I quietly got up and tended to Tsin, getting no rest that night. Spencer was off the next day, and as I pondered lunch, Kate began cooking. When she served it, one plate was short. "Looks like we're missing a portion," I noted. "I married Spencer, who works hard, and my grandson. Naturally, there's none for you. Fix your own," she said. I was floored. I'd wondered if she was targeting me, but this confirmed it. I'd been blind to it too long. I couldn't see her as just toughening me up for wifely duties anymore. Without that lens, I'd have crumbled. Unable to snap back, I vented to a friend after dropping Tsin at daycare. "That's outright bullying. How are you coping?" My childhood bestie listened intently, visibly worried, and I finally sobbed in front of her. I'd been bottling up my frustrations at home for ages. She cheered me on, saying I was doing my utmost and would pull through. "I'll help you figure this out," she promised. We parted, both with home duties, and though our chat was brief, I felt unburdened. She suggested recording daily exchanges with a hidden device. I snagged a cheap recorder on my way to Fetchson and set it up discreetly while cleaning. I found a paper that slipped from Kate's drawer. A $20,000 personal loan agreement. Stunned but sensing its value, I pocketed it. Later, Kate returned and Spencer arrived just as dinner was ready. We sat amid her usual gripes. "Oh, a friend gave me a discount for a one-night stay at a 5-star spa hotel," she mentioned, hinting she wanted to go. Spencer loved the idea and Sin was thrilled. I wasn't keen, expecting a miserable time, but Kate shocked me. "Since you're always working hard, you can come too." I couldn't believe it, given her past hostility. Maybe she meant well, I thought, hesitant to assume malice. She planned to book it the next day. Sleepless that night, I lingered on the sofa mulling the trip. Sin wanted to join, but managing him alone was tough and my mom couldn't watch him. Spencer begged me to go despite ignoring my pain from his mother. "I don't want to, Spencer. You don't back me up when she mistreats me," I said. Speechless, he still pleaded. "Take a look at this, I found it in Kate's room," I said, showing the $20,000 note. His disbelief was palpable. "Can we help her pay it off?" he asked, aware I handled our money. I refused, unwilling to aid someone who tormented me. Though I got his filial duty, I couldn't agree. "Help me with this and the trip, but only if you meet my terms," I countered. First, he'd intervene when Kate crossed me. Second, we'd set rules for her, write them down and plaster them around the house. If she refused, she'd leave. Spencer consented and I had my friend post the rules while we were gone. We'd play it cool until after the trip, then drop the news. On trip day, Spencer grabbed the bags as we left. Kate's jabs started instantly. "You don't need to carry those. Let Emily." Spencer shot me an apologetic look and I complied, avoiding tension before the big reveal. The bags were heavy, draining me while I minded Sin. I doubted I'd enjoy the hotel. We took a bus, then drove over a mountain pass to the stunning, plush hotel. Sin explored eagerly and Kate checked us in. As I reached for my bag, her words floored me. "Were you planning to stay with us? I only booked for 3. I was clueless, she'd never meant for me to stay. Realizing this, I asked, "Where do I sleep?" She shrugged. "I don't know or care, camp in the woods nearby." Her casual suggestion to sleep outside was unhinged and rage bubbled up. I nearly shouted, but she and my family slipped away with a breezy, "See you at checkout, okay?" Stunned, I lingered in the lobby before leaving. I knew there'd be a catch, but not this. Near tears, I got a text from Spencer. "I'm sorry." I couldn't reply. It was past noon, so I ate at a random cafe and found a field with a starry view. My friend called asking about the trip. I spilled everything and she was livid, offering to get me. I declined, grateful but sure Kate would win if I bailed. I feared what she'd do next. After hanging up, I contacted a lawyer, sending my evidence to sue for emotional abuse if she were ousted post-trip. He said I could claim if it wasn't premeditated and my proof seemed solid. Exhausted mentally and physically, I lay on the grass, ending the day under a gorgeous sky with a soft breeze. Next morning, I met Kate and my family at checkout. "Emily, did you stay in the woods? You didn't even wash, you're filthy," she sniped. Spencer tried to step in, but she switched topics. He must have told her excluding me was too far. She gloated about the hotel and Sin's grin was my sole comfort on the ride home. Back home, Kate yelled, "What's all this? Don't mess with me." Rules were posted everywhere. Her face reddened with fury as she read them. Spencer showed her the IOU and her anger faded to pallor. She denied it at first, then admitted using her late husband's insurance on a spending binge, borrowing when it ran dry. As planned, Spencer said, "I can't have a debtor here. Please leave." I added, "I have proof of what you've done. I'll sue," playing the recording. Her face blanched as she listened, begging to stay. I said she could if she followed the rules and dropped the hostility. She agreed, apologizing profusely. Seeing her humbled was surreal and I felt triumphant, collapsing as my knees gave out. Spencer sat me down and berated her about the debt. His trust in her shattered. She never foresaw him turning on her. She apologized frantically. After settling it, she stared silently at the sky all day. The household vibe shifted dramatically. The next day I made breakfast as usual and Kate snarked. But Spencer's tone changed. "Mom, we just discussed this yesterday," he said firmly. She faltered and slunk to the sofa. I stifled a laugh and kept cooking. Spencer felt bad for not shielding me from Kate, who raised him. I knew he was good-hearted and had his reasons for staying quiet, so I didn't resent him, though I needed his support. He apologized tearfully and began watching over me. Kate's demeanor softened daily. She still nitpicked, but without venom. I hoped she'd keep it up, letting me live peacefully and stay sane. The debt was $700 monthly, and Spencer and I teamed up to pay it since Kate couldn't work. I took a part-time job, balancing it with home life. Kate handled Sin's daycare runs well despite her flaws. Spencer oversaw her finances. Our family slowly improved. Though some might have divorced over a toxic mother-in-law, I couldn't. Thankfully, I found a fix that rebuilt us. I was grateful for my friend who supported me. Without her, I'd have had no outlet and might have cracked. Recalling the ordeal still chokes me up, but I commend myself for holding our family together. Even when depressed and unmotivated, I powered through chores for a decent life, especially for Sin. That pride warms me. I may never fully forgive Kate, but she's my mother-in-law and I opt to treat her decently. Years later, Sin's in preschool. We're nearly debt-free and eyeing a new home. Kate helps a bit and my bond with Spencer's stronger than ever. We're considering another child. My family's steady now and I'm content. I'll keep striving for them.